Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's A&A. I have some bad news, and that is Herman is a bit sick, so he is going to give his update by text over the next 48 hours or so. He's quite unwell at the moment, so he extends his apologies, but he's still working hard. And in the meantime, I'm going to give you a more general business update. There's a lot of questions about this. People are curious as to what's going on and what the plans are. So it's probably a good opportunity to do it anyway. So in particular, I'm going to discuss things to do with the upcoming market push. Now, we've spoken about this a fair bit over the last couple of months. Part of the kind of start of this was the bug bounty, which has gone very well. That's finishing up soon. It was extended because it was quite a good response. That was useful for the devs, which is, of course, the core important aspect of the project. If you don't have anything to share with the world, then the project is not go very far. So thankfully, we're very blessed with a extremely competent and productive dev core, as well as management, who are steering the project in the right direction. Just to give a recap as to what we've spoken about, in particular Herman has spoken about over the past couple of AMAs. At the moment, of course, the EVM launch on mainnet is the focus that will make Cherry much easier to interact with from other projects and developers, big and small. So that's the core focus at the moment. Aside from that, as Herman explained in the strategy blog post a few weeks ago, what we need to do as well is kind of at the moment in the market focus on really developing core offering of what Cherry does. After EVM, the next summit on the horizon is expanding and kind of reinforcing the capability of Cherry as a storage platform. In fact, we are more focused on storage now than we even were strategically, let's say 6 months, a year ago. The reason for that is that we are thankfully in a very good position to capitalize on, extreme demand, very promising demand for business-ready decentralized storage solutions in the Web3 space. It's a very hot topic at the moment, especially when people are looking at things like artificial intelligence, the amount of storage that requires to kind of do these things in a decentralized way is very important. If you have a look down through our ecosystem projects, you'll notice that some of them indirectly mention this, that they would be working on business cases that have a very strong need for decentralized and also efficient Web3 storage. That's what's coming up next in terms of the developer cycle. But with regards to the marketing, we have to tie in with this while also keeping an eye on what's happening in the wider industry. There were questions today about regulation and stuff like that. These are the kind of things that we have to always be conscious of and keep a very close eye on, because as we've explained many times in the past, we have to use our resources wisely. I discussed this some months ago in an extended AMA format, and I explained to people, and most people kind of got the point, that all resources are finite. That's the whole point of resources. And if they were infinite, then they would actually analyzed from a resource-based perspective. And what that means is that while Cherry is very well funded and we're in a very good place in terms of our treasury, especially compared to a lot of Web3 projects that unwisely over the past few months, over the past year, decided to try to spend their way out of the wider economic downturn. in that they said instead of just going with the wider industry losses, that they would just continue to spend or perhaps increase spend of their what is essentially their marketing budget, their war chest, to try and mitigate against industry losses. Um, and by doing that, they essentially wasted them because if there's no market for what you're selling, then there's not much point in spending a bunch of money to sell it. If you, like we did, and a lot of other companies did, pare back the budgeting in the short term, there's no audience for it, then you have a much, much, much better situation and market picks up for two reasons. First of all, obviously, you have more money to spend transaction. So there's much higher ROI during there's much lower ROI during a bear market. But second of all, and this goes back to the basics of corporate finance, which the vast majority of people are aware of, if you put yourself in a position where you have less treasury holdings, and then you want to expand, you are essentially at the mercy of the lending markets in a way that is quite unfortunate. Because if we were to look for investment or borrow more money, shown that we've just been wasting money for 2 years or a year and a half, then we'll get much less money at a much higher cost. So yeah, that's basically that. However, that doesn't mean that we can just ignore marketing forever. So now we're put in a position where a pretty, quite a beneficial position where we can look to when there is a eventual market uptick, but at the same time, that means that we have to be ready for this uptick, and hopefully, the core dev releases are also fortuitously timed with this. So, just to recap, what I'm saying is that we have to deploy marketing budget at a time that is both market friendly and at a time that is both roadmap friendly as well. At the moment, things aren't as bad as they were a few months ago, and especially last year. Things were kind of in a meltdown across the industry. There's a lot of projects doing quite well, actually, in fact. So that opens up the vista for us to start rolling out marketing initiatives, and we're going to try and do this in a ramp fashion. So, for example, bug bounties, for example, this that will then lead into some of the things I'm about to mention, and then this will hopefully come to a head. Ideally, now things, the best plans are great until they meet contact. Great, but the point is that we, if we're lucky, then we'll kind of see a crescendo of our business development efforts that coincides with big boosts from development roadmap and also an uptick. That's what we're kind of hoping for. We're hoping that happens in short few months, couple months. So with that in mind, just bear with me there 1 second. I'm just going to pull up my notes and I'm going to tell you a bit about what we have in store in the let's say short term. And by that I mean over the next couple of months. So what this means essentially, and I'll just actually take a moment to reiterate that we did talk to people in the same manner before the mainnet release and also before the actual TGE, the IDO, i.e., that was nearly 3 years ago. And a lot of people were kind of wondering when these things would start and if they would actually properly start. As a lot of people who were there at the start when the token first went on sale, we did have a very good market portion of it. Well, also, if you guys look back to what is pretty much just over a year now, I think, ago, for the mainnet launch, we did a lot of effort. The community actually put in a lot of effort as well, and everybody was quite happy with the kind of press coverage we got, with the kind of influencer coverage that we got with kind of marketing collaborations with various projects. So when I say we kind of know what we're doing, um, I think that's fair to say at this point. I think we're allowed to say that because we have delivered twice in terms of big ramp-ups, and then the upcoming one will. That doesn't mean that we're going to spend silly amounts of money just for the sake of it. That's really what we're trying to do. But in terms of what's going to go on, I'm going to give you guys an idea of what that will entail, and then if there's any, I'm just going to check now. Actually, if questions have popped up. I haven't seen any questions directly, but I've seen a couple of people basically asked me directly what this was about. In So first and foremost, we have quite strong press links. Um, I worked in kind of Web3 media for a while, and we're well placed in this regard. We had a lot of press around mainnet launch and when the token first went on sale in quite decent publications, Business Insider and Yahoo Finance, things like this, as well as some of the bigger names like CoinDesk and stuff in crypto. We are going to do that again, and this is probably the last time I'm going to say this. The the timing of this, we have to play by ear to get the most return on investment. But yeah, we're going to be shooting for that. And we're in talks with our partner publications and our partner media firms, PR firms, to get that. A second thing, which is quite, in my opinion, very interesting, and I'm hoping to get some input from you guys, which we're working on at the moment, is a close collaboration with video content and other content creators. Sorry, that thing on the screen should say video and graphic content, but never mind. Which will essentially explain in detail exactly how Cherry Vision is, what it's supposed to do, what we achieve fast, etc., etc. Because on a technical level, Cherry is quite a novel project. Otherwise, you guys probably wouldn't be interested in it. So I'm sure you all know that already. And we are going to try and convey that in as attractive a format as possible. Probably be short enough videos, a minute long, with our Twitter and all of our social media, and that will hopefully, when people come to the project first. Another thing that I forgot to mention in Cherry Business Update part there was that we are hoping to push forward the website as well in the next to have that done and dusted. Also, I forgot to mention the hardship. We had good interest from people that part of that, and also we're probably going to be talking about Seedling, another ecosystem project within the next 7 days from now. Seedling is somewhat dormant at the moment. There's almost zero interest in Launchpad, but as I explained, when I was announcing Diego moving on, we are absolutely forward to making sure that Seedling is well placed to be the launchpad of Cherry Network forever. So anyway, back to the marketing. The video content will be quite cool. I'm actually going to do a Cherry office hour probably on Friday and get you guys give me some input on the scripts, because then we can send them off to the animators and the content creators and stuff, and they will decide exactly how to convey that. These people are real pros, so it's going to look pretty, and I'm looking forward to showing it to you guys. We also have, and a lot of people here would have probably first came to the project because some of the influencers, key opinion leaders out there, and I won't name them, but you probably know who they are, and they were people that were talking about cool things that Cherry is doing, over a year ago and longer. And we're going to re-engage with all those people to get the word out again, just to up the momentum again. Aside from that, we have competitions, we have hackathons, bounties. Obviously, the book bounty is ongoing at the moment, so you can see direct evidence for that at the moment. And I've also spoken about hackathons that we will have both online and in person, and that leads me to my last point, optimistic is that there are in-person events coming up as well. Sometimes sometimes we have loads and loads of people come to these. Sometimes it's more of a small intimate group. They're always fun, and it's always good for us to be able to just kind of give back to the community somewhat. Buy the guys a few beers. I'm not sure exactly where we're going to have. Probably going to try and expand that a bit further out. Maybe have places or some events in stuff like that a bit further afield, maybe possibly in parks. I'm not sure about that. That's less likely. Possibly. So, in summary, we're going to talk about this more on Friday. I'm not sure exactly what time it'll be, but it'll probably be in the afternoon, depending on whether we'll be doing Twitter Spaces with some of our marketing partners instead. But that will be either on Friday or on Monday or on Tuesday. We will have a Cherry Officer will talk detail about this video and coming out. I would appreciate if guys like you could jump in and tell me what you like about it, what you don't like about it, so that we have this as sharp as possible, so that when new investors, new partners, new developers come to the Cherry ecosystem, when they first come in contact with the project, that they have some really, really cool material that will make them want to get involved, to invest, etc., etc. So that is the goal. And I hope that clears up a lot of the stuff that people were asking me. I think it kind of did. People were asking me about the marketing mix, what we have planned, and that those are the main pillars of that. And one thing that's not mentioned there is that would quite a degree of um, uh, pushing forward in terms of business development. We have partnerships that we are waiting to kind of push over the line. They've kind of stalled in some ways mostly because the partners that we're working with, they've had a lot of late. Things are quite turbulent in the market industry at the moment, but those things are there waiting to be launched, and we're hoping to include them in a crescendo of what's going to happen as hopefully market picks up, and hopefully as well, of course, the start of the fall when they get the upcoming one, of course, being the imminent launch of so quite cool. So, guys, unfortunately, as I said, Herman can't join us. He will give us more of a strategic and core development update in the next couple of days. I think just in terms of a point of order, I think we have everyone except for maybe a couple of guys have been paid their prize money from previous weeks. I'm going to have a quick look back through things and make sure that that's addressed. There's a couple of other people in my inbox as well asking about various. Have a chance probably later on today to take a closer look at those. Probably respond to some of those inquiries. But in the meantime, of course, we have John has our weekly quiz. I'm going to leave you guys with him. Thank you all for joining me, and I'll speak to you guys straight after the call. If you have any questions, just either send me in or drop the question in the chat. Okay, thanks guys. We'll leave it there. Cheers.